High above the sleeping world, so high that the clouds brush against its peaks like soft, cottony sheep, stands a place known as Cozy Mountain. It is not a mountain of sharp rocks and cold winds. Oh no. On Cozy Mountain, the ground is covered in a thick, velvety moss that feels like a brand new blanket. The trees are called whispering pines, and their needles don't prickle. They sway in the breeze and hush the world with a gentle shh, shh, shh. The rivers don't rush and roar. They are called honey malt rivers, and they flow thick and slow, glowing warmly under the sun and the moon. Everything on Cozy Mountain is slow and soft and quiet. And at the very top of this mountain, in a cave carved by the gentle wind and the patient rain, lived the most wonderful creature in all the land. He was not a creature of flesh and bone, but a magnificent dragon made of polished wood and shining brass. This was the Clockwork Dragon of Cozy Mountain, and his name was Tick-Tock. Tick-Tock was a beautiful sight. His body was carved from warm, reddish cherry wood, so smooth and polished that it glowed like a warm hearth. His great, big, gentle wings were not scaly, but made of soft, dark leather, like the cover of a very old and important book. And running all along his back and his long, curving tail were his gears. There were big gears made of brass that turned ever so slowly, and small gears made of silver that spun with a quiet whir. They all worked together in perfect, peaceful harmony, and they made the sound that gave the dragon his name. From deep inside his wooden chest came a steady, rhythmic sound. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It was the sound of a very calm and steady grandfather clock, a sound that made you feel safe and sleepy. His eyes were not fiery, but were two large, smooth globes of amber, and they glowed with a soft, warm, honey-colored light. Tick-Tock the dragon never roared. He never flew fast or breathed fire. His job was to watch over the sleepy world from the peak of Cozy Mountain, and his slow, steady heartbeat, tick-tock, tick-tock, was the mountain's own lullaby. At the foot of Cozy Mountain, in a little cottage with a stone path and a garden full of sleepy-headed lavender, lived a little girl named Lily. Lily had hair the color of dandelion fluff and eyes as blue as the mountain forget-me-nots. She was a quiet child who loved to sit on her doorstep in the evening and watch the stars begin to prick holes in the dark blanket of the sky. Every night, if she listened very, very carefully, she thought she could hear a faint, faraway sound carried on the breeze from the mountaintop. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Lily had heard the stories about the Clockwork Dragon. Her grandmother told her that the dragon's ticking was what helped the sun to set and the moon to rise on time. She said that his flight was so gentle, it never woke a single sleeping bird in its nest. More than anything, Lily wished she could fly with the gentle dragon to see the world from way up high, floating on the sound of his steady heartbeat. One evening, as the sky turned from blue to a soft, dusky purple, Lily felt a gentle pull, like a soft string tugging on her heart, leading her toward the mountain. She put on her softest slippers and stepped out of the cottage. The path up Cozy Mountain began just behind her garden. It was not a steep or scary path. It was a soft, mossy trail that wound upwards like a gentle green ribbon. As she began to walk, the sound of the dragon grew just a little bit louder. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It was a comfortable rhythm to walk to. Step, 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 on the soft moss. She wasn't in a hurry. The mountain seemed to want her to take her time. As she walked, little fireflies with bottoms that glowed a soft, sleepy green began to wake up. One by one, they floated up from the grasses and bobbed along in front of her, lighting her way. There was one firefly, then two, then 10, then 50, until the whole path was lit by their gentle, pulsing lights. Glow, fade, glow, fade. The higher she climbed, the quieter the world below became. She passed the whispering pines, and they hushed her along her way. Shh, go on, little one, shh. She walked over a little wooden bridge that crossed a honey malt river, and she watched the thick, slow, golden water flow beneath her feet without a sound. With every step she took, the rhythmic sound from the peak grew stronger, clearer, closer. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It felt like walking towards the warm and steady heart of the world. Finally, she reached the top. Before her was the mouth of a cave, and from it poured a warm, honey gold light. It wasn't a scary cave, it was welcoming, and the sound was now a deep, calm, resonant beat that seemed to vibrate in the very air around her. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Lily took a slow breath and stepped inside. There he was. The clockwork dragon, Tick-Tock, was curled in a great wooden loop on the floor of the cave. He was even bigger and more wonderful than she had imagined. The warm amber light she had seen from afar came from his beautiful eyes. He watched her for a moment, and then, with a soft whirring of gears and a gentle sigh of steam from his nostrils that smelled faintly of cinnamon and cloves, he slowly uncurled his long neck and lowered his head to her. His amber eyes blinked, slowly. Blink and wait. Blink. He didn't speak in words, but a thought bloomed in Lily's mind, a thought that felt warm and kind, like the dragon himself. Welcome, little one. I have been waiting. Would you like to see the world as it sleeps? Lily nodded, her heart full of a quiet joy. Tick-Tock turned his great body slowly, showing her a special seat upon his back. It was carved right into the cherry wood, and it was hollowed out like a perfect little armchair, lined with the softest, whitest wool she had ever seen. Carefully, she climbed up his leg, her slippers making no sound on the wood, and settled into the cozy seat. It was as if it had been made just for her. She held on to two smooth, curved handles that were part of the dragon's back. Tick-Tock waited until she was settled and comfortable. Then, with a sound like 100 tiny music boxes all opening at once, his beautiful leather wings unfolded. He took one slow step forward to the edge of the cave, and then, with a powerful but gentle push, he lifted off the ground. There was no great roar, no rush of wind, just a soft, deliberate whump, whump, whump of his wings pushing against the air. And as they rose into the night sky, the sound of his heart surrounded them. Tick, tock, tick, tock. They climbed higher and higher, above the peak of Cozy Mountain, until they were floating in the vast, starry, silent sky. Below them, the world was a patchwork quilt of sleeping darkness and soft light. Tick-Tock flew slowly, deliberately, gliding on the quiet currents of the night air. First, he flew over the shepherd's fields. Lily looked down and saw hundreds of fluffy white sheep, not moving at all, but sleeping soundly on the dark green hills. They looked like fallen clouds. The dragon's steady tick-tock seemed to count them in their sleep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. All perfectly still, all perfectly peaceful. Then they glided over a quiet village. All the little houses were tucked in and dark, their roofs like hands folded in prayer. Lily could see just one window with a warm orange glow. It was the baker's window. He was already awake, quietly kneading the dough for the morning's bread, while everyone else slept. The dragon's shadow, long and gentle, passed over the village like a slow-moving cloud, a silent promise that the night was safe. Tick-Tock banked slowly, his leather wings making a soft creak, creak, and they followed the path of a shimmering river. It wasn't a honey malt river like on the mountain. This one flowed with dark water that reflected the light of the 100 stars Lily's friend Barnaby had painted. The dragon's tick-tock rhythm mixed with the gentle sound of the water lapping against the riverbank. Lap, lap, tick, tock, lap, lap. Lily imagined the fish deep in the cool water, not swimming, but hovering in their sleep, dreaming their silvery, watery dreams. As they flew, a new sound began. From deep within the dragon's chest, a melody started to play. It was his gears, rearranging themselves to chime a simple tune. It was like a music box, a slow, repeating lullaby made of soft, metallic chimes. Ting, tang, tong, ting. The tune wove itself around the steady beat of his clockwork heart. Ting, tang, tock, ting, tick. It was the most peaceful song Lily had ever heard. She was nestled deep in her wool-lined seat. She could feel the gentle vibration of the dragon's ticking heart through the warm wood. She could hear his music box lullaby in her ears. She felt the slow, rocking motion of his flight, back and forth, back and forth. She watched the sleepy world drift by below. Her eyelids, which had been wide with wonder, began to feel very, very heavy. Her head nodded once, then twice. Her breathing became as slow and steady as the dragon's flight. Breathe and out, in and out. Tick-Tock knew. He could feel the small child's sleepiness. His chiming lullaby grew softer, and his wing beats became even slower. He turned in a wide, graceful arc and began the journey back to Cozy Mountain. The landing was so gentle, Lily barely felt it. A soft thump as his wooden feet touched the floor of the cave. The whump, whump, whump of his wings stopped. The music box inside him chimed its last few notes. Ting, tong, ting, and then fell silent. Lily was almost completely asleep. The dragon lowered his head and gently, so gently, nudged her, guiding her out of the seat and onto a patch of the thickest, softest moss at the cave's entrance. Lily curled up right there, her head resting on the moss that was still warm from the day's sun. The last thing she heard was the dragon's heartbeat, which was becoming slower and slower. Tick, tock, tick, tock. And then, with a final soft clunk, the ticking stopped. The clockwork dragon had wound down for the night. His amber eyes dimmed until they were just a faint, warm glow. He too was at rest. And there, at the top of the quiet mountain, under the watching stars, the little girl and the clockwork dragon slept. Lily dreamed of slow, gentle flights and a song made of ticking clocks and starlight. And now it is time for you to wind down, too. Feel yourself growing heavy and sleepy, and let the gentle tick-tock of your own quiet breathing carry you off to dreamland. Good night.